Hey, lovely people, a pleasant evening to everybody, everyone. So, lovely people, I noticed the board director, former police commissioner Owen Ellington for the JUTC, who is he's a present board director for the JUTC, was speaking on the new buses that are here, those big yellow buses, and that, some of them will be allotted so that the students at the University of Technology and the University of the West Indies Mona campus will have buses to shuttle them to school from different sections of the island. I really was pleasantly surprised, because I remember my days of going to the University of the West Indies, and there was a bus for UWI in particular. I know I used to occasionally see a particular one going to UTECH, a particular coaster bus, but UWI had about two, was it two? There was this burgundy one, and I think another one, and you had to time it, and I think it went as far as Ligani. I don't think it went further than Ligani. Maybe the other one did, so you had to know the times, to catch the buses that would, those shuttle buses that will shuttle you on campus for UA. And I think UTEC may have had one, because sometimes when that bus would come, you would see a bus, and I remember inquiring, and it would say, the driver or the conductor, whomever, would say that this bus is going to UTEC and so on. And it's like you had to time. I think the UTEC students had it a little bit more difficult, perhaps, but in some sense they did not, because you remember with the robot taxis, the school is on the main, going straight up from Ligani to Papine section there, so they could just come off and go in. But remember, you have to go all the way around, as though you're going to August Town or somewhere around Mona Road section there. So it was a little bit difficult. So we had we had it a little easier, with that specific. I think it was two buses for UA, and again you had to time them. And all you did is just show your identification card, and you would just go onto the bus. So I'm really happy to see that there is some improvement, and that people from, whether you're in Spanish Town or you're wherever part in the parish you are, there will be buses in that region, which would be, going to both UTEC and the University of the West Indies, Mona. Gone are the days when the poor students were coming from, whether out of town, and have to time the ones that I'm talking about, that went as far as Ligani. I'm not sure if the other one had gone farther, but, that must have been really cumbersome, difficult, and just tiresome. It was just ridiculous. So I am really pleasantly surprised when I saw the former police commissioner, saying that for the upcoming semester they will roll out these buses, and when you're watching, you're seeing a mixture of the bus that they're complaining about, the rural buses, and the newer buses. But I saw one of the rural buses, those buses that you would see usually in the US, the school buses, driving, what was it, Friday or Thursday in Kingston? It seemed all right to me. It's just a new bus. It's just one of it's just, to say, boy, I've never seen one of these buses in Jamaica. It didn't seem rickety, or it didn't seem as if it was breaking down. You know, it just seemed all right to me. Like, I mean, it's school bus centered, or school bus, centric, so to speak. And at least, sorry, it's just drinking some water and everything. At least look here. My take on it is the safety, that the lewd and the crude and the vulgar music will not be played, and students don't have to be battling for a seat and battling with adults who oftentimes will disregard them and disrespect them. It's not just young people disrespect old people, a lot of older people disrespect young people. That's another story. Yeah, that's another story to get into, sometimes one of the biased, prejudicial, and discriminatory messages we tend to hear is the young people disrespecting the older people. And can I tell you, oftentimes I see it the other way around. oftentimes I see it the other way around. I'm not saying that you don't have young people who don't disregard the old. And one of the things you have to realize is this: whatever seed you sow, certainly that's a tree you're going to reap in later years. In other words, if you continue to sow disrespect, the generation that is coming up after you will give it back to you. They will reap it for you, they'll harvest it for you and give it back to you. So you ought to speak to them with respect and with honor if you want them to replicate that. They can't know if you don't teach them. I've never heard of for example, a parent having a child and the child is expected to parent the parent. The child is expected to parent the parent. I'm not sure what culture that works. Certainly not the culture of Earth, because a child is like a blank slate, needing information so that they can know how to live successfully. So again, I'm very happy, and I hope that bus system works out well for the students, that they won't be late. And the students, I don't want them to. One of the things that people tend to do, there has to be an accountability framework. You have to work with a time schedule. Time is master, time is key, time is important, time is paramount. I've often heard some wealthy people say they rather lose money than time, because at least if they have time, they have the ability to make back the money. They have the power to get, the power to get wealth, as the Bible says. So you have to manage your time wisely. If you know the bus will be at a certain time, you have to get out, so that when you miss it, you don't get up and say, boy, the bus system is not working, it is not good. That would be nonsense, that would be folly, and that would be not true. So you have to be fair. You have to do your part while they do theirs. So be early, be on time, do your best, do well, so you can get your first class honors and all the wonderful, lovely niceties that school has to offer. All right, guys, you know what to do with TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe and certainly give me one of those lions. Have a good one.